And the world-famous Butch and Bob Show here for this Monday morning, the 13th day of September. Good morning, Bob. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Doing good. Well, we've got a guest on the phone right now. Bob, tell us who it is, and we'll start talking to him.
Yeah, and we've got a candidate for U.S. Senate race. There's 4 Republicans vying for that seat. This is one of the first candidates to throw his name in the hat, Mr. Latham Sadler, former Navy veteran, former Navy SEAL. And Mr. Sadler, appreciate you being here on the show with us.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for having me. It's a treat to be on.
We just went through the 20th anniversary of the 9/11, so you being a Navy SEAL and spending time over there, just want to get your thoughts on what that day meant to you and what kind of memories it brought back.
Yeah, 9/11 changed all of our lives, obviously, those who experienced it and watched it. For me, I was a freshman at the University of Georgia, having the time of my life, and I watched it from my dorm room, and it changed my life forever, that's for sure, because it led me on a long journey where I ended up spending my 20s trying to make myself competitive to become a Navy SEAL officer, and so I ended up joining the military because of it, and had a career as a SEAL and deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq, and then ended up in the Trump White House managing the Black Ops portfolio. So 9/11 certainly changed my life, and as I reflect on that day, I just think it's an important day every year for us to be reminded of the cost of liberty and that we live in the most wonderful and the freest country on the planet. You cannot find any other country like the United States of America, and we got to remember it, we got to fight for it, and we've always got to appreciate it.
And as I mentioned, you're one of the first to throw your name in the hat for this U.S. Senate race. Since then, Gary Black's gotten in, Herschel's gotten in. Herschel has the endorsement of the former president. So how do you see this race shaping out, and how can you win it?
Yeah, well, like you said, we launched on April 15th. We launched on Brett Baer, and I'll tell you, the way we're going to win it is we're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to outwork and out-hustle and out-maneuver anybody else in this race. And what I've found is we are batting 1,000 on the trail. It doesn't matter if it's in somewhere like Bainbridge, Georgia, where my mom's from, or somewhere in Atlanta or metro area, or up in Helen, Georgia. Everywhere we go, gentlemen, people have made it abundantly clear that they're excited about our campaign and want me in that job. They're ready for a next-generation conservative. I mean, I'm the youngest person in this race by far. I'm 38 years old, but I've got the best experience to serve as our next United States Senator. Georgia's always had a national security expert in the Senate, all the way back to Richard B. Russell. We had Sam Nunn, we had Johnny, we had Saxby, and we had David, who was a China expert. And now for the first time since World War II, we don't have a senator on the Armed Services Committee, and now we're feeling the effects of that, obviously, by what we've seen in Afghanistan. And so people are ready for a different type of leader, and that's what I'm going to deliver.
If you just joined us, Latham Sadler, candidate for U.S. Senate race, on the air with us. As you mentioned, you worked in the Trump administration. Are you surprised you didn't get his endorsement?
Well, for that one, I mean, President Trump and Herschel have been very close friends for almost as long as I've been alive, and you got to respect the loyalty there. My longtime friends, I'm loyal to as well. What I'm finding, though, is that Trump voters, even since the Herschel announcement, tell me every single day, they say, I love President Trump, I love Herschel, but we need a serious United States Senator with the background that you have to lead us in the right direction. And at the end of the day, people love the fact that I'm the only candidate in this race that served in the Trump White House. I served the first 2.5 years in the White House. One, I was the director for intelligence programs on the National Security Council, like I said earlier, managing the Black Ops portfolio. So there's a small set of missions that require the President's approval after the Secretary of Defense signs off on them. And I was that guy at the White House. After Secretary Mattis signed them, they'd come to me, I'd vet them, and then recommend whether or not we should send the troops out to do the quiet work for the country. And then I became a White House fellow and worked on domestic policy issues. I was part of the team that got the First Step Act passed. And so, Georgia deserves to have the America First policy agenda back in Washington. We're obviously seeing the opposite of that today, gentlemen. But Georgia also deserves to have a United States Senator that actually has the experience at the national level advancing that agenda. And I'm the only person in this race that has that experience.
What have you been doing since you left the White House?
So we packed up our bags. We've got a 1-year-old boy and a 4-year-old boy, and we were itching to come home to Georgia and raise our family. And I was on the leadership team of Synovus Bank as chief of staff, and life was good. I was taking care of my family and home more than I was in the military, even though I didn't want to leave the military. Candidly, I wanted to make a career out of that. It was my dream job and always will be. But I transitioned out of active duty for family reasons. I've got a fraternal twin brother with Down syndrome named Ashby, who's the most amazing human being you'll ever meet. And he lives with my parents, and my dad had some health issues when I was in the SEAL teams, and woke me up to the fact that they're not going to be around forever to take care of my brother. And so Melissa, my wife, and I decided that he's going to come live with us and the boys whenever they can no longer take care of them. And so I knew I needed to kiss my dream job goodbye since you're gone all the time. And so we were here in Georgia, and candidly, I was loving life. And then 2020 happened. And I think as patriots, we all know that what's transpired over the past 18 months in this country is not us. And we can do better than this. And I'll tell you, as a national security guy, I was already concerned about the external threats facing our country, because I got all the briefings you can get, gentlemen, in the Situation Room about what our adversaries are doing to seek to harm us. And it's stuff that still keeps me up at night. And then you look at the way we're operating as a country, and you've got this leftist woke movement that's seeping into every aspect of our lives, trying to make it cool to hate the country, trying to tear down our history, our institutions, our Constitution, and where is the leadership fighting this? And so we, of course, lose these 2 U.S. Senate seats, and gentlemen, folks started reaching out to me saying, Latham, you need to consider jumping into this race, because it's going to require somebody very different to beat Raphael Warnock next year, and you're the guy to do it. And based on what we've seen on the trail, folks are ready for a next-generation conservative that has more experience than anybody else in this race.
Yeah, and Latham Sadler, candidate for U.S. Senate, on this air with us. Sir, if you get elected, what do you want to see done? You know, you look at Washington, it's gridlock, not much is getting done. So if you do get elected, what are some of the things you'd like to see accomplished?
Yeah, I mean, for one, I'd like to see the government out of the lives of everyday Americans. I mean, we're seeing the opposite of that today, and we're seeing how it's not working. I mean, unemployment is off the charts. We've got a rise in inflation right now, and that's hitting lower income families more than anybody else, because liberal policies do not work. So the 3 central tenets of my campaign are security, liberty, and prosperity. Simply put, I'm going to defend the country, I'm going to defend the Constitution, and I'm going to defend the American economy and American worker. And so, look, on national security, where I was perched at the White House, gentlemen, I got to see the full underbelly of our national security apparatus, both over at the Department of Defense and the CIA. And there's folks doing great work for the country. But by and large, those institutions are in need of desperate reform, because warfare has changed because of technology. And the fascinating thing I learned is the President of the United States can't make those institutional changes, because those institutions can just outlast a presidency. But the one place you can actually move the needle to ensure the homeland is secure is on Capitol Hill in a few committees: the Senate Armed Services Committee, the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, and the Senate Appropriations Committee, because they control the funding and the authorities. And so, but the interesting thing is those United States senators don't always get the full picture that a lot of folks at the White House get. And so my wife's concerned if I win this thing that I'm never going to sleep again, because I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m. just ready to roar, because I know where all the bottlenecks are. I know who the players are, where the fat is that needs to be trimmed, and you can only do it from the United States Senate. I'm gravely concerned about the rise of communist China. If Americans don't start waking up to that quickly, we are going to live in a Chinese-dominated world. And I'm a red-blooded American. I will be bullish on America all day, every day. But China is hungry and focused and eager to supplant us, and they're 4 times our size. And it just seems like most Americans live in la-la land on this issue. And one of the things that I'm going to push for legislatively is, you know, we see all these products made in the United States, or sold in the United States that say made in China. And I think that needs to be labeled more appropriately as made in communist China, because I think Americans need to understand what they're actually buying when they buy from China overseas. Next, you got Liberty. I mean, I'll tell you, when I launched on Brett Baer, Twitter shut me down midway through my interview. So if anybody tells you that big tech is not a threat to this country, they're kidding themselves. And so I think we're long overdue for a Teddy Roosevelt-style trust-busting of big tech. I mean, these technology firms dwarf what we saw of the robber barons during Teddy Roosevelt's era, and they've got to be broken up. And you can also only do that from the United States Senate. And then on prosperity, we've got to defend this American economy. And one of the things we do, and this includes security, is we've got to secure our border. I mean, we've got the numbers out there, gentlemen. I remind folks on the trail, the official number of undocumented folks in this country is 11 million. It's actually probably a lot larger than that, but that's the official number. So if we just work with that alone, if you think about that, that's the exact population of our entire state here in Georgia. It's just under 11 million people, and we have no idea where they came from and what they're doing. So we've got to secure our border, and then we've got to change the game on messaging as it relates to winning the battle space. I mean, as conservatives, our policies work, but we find that we get outflanked by the left on messaging. And that's a goal of my campaign to change, I'll tell you, and the other side doesn't like that. But as it relates to small business owners every day, gentlemen, that tell me, hey, Latham, I still can't find workers. I cannot compete with a free government paycheck. This is killing my business. Our messaging on this needs to be dignity, not dependency. And what I mean by that is, as conservatives, we seek a limited government that creates economic opportunity for the American worker and therefore provides them dignity. And we're seeing the opposite of that today out of this big government full of false promises that's created this moral hazard dependency on our government. And gents, this is personal for me. As I mentioned, I've got a handicapped brother. He works at Publix grocery store, and we had to pull him out of work last year when COVID first hit because we didn't know what this virus was. And then after a handful of months in consultation with his doctor, we made the decision to send him back to work, even with the risk, because we see the dignity that he receives every day from that job. And to think that thousands of Americans are being stripped of that same dignity due to these policies of power and control coming out of the White House, it's a shame, and it's got to change, and we need new leadership to do it.
And if people want to know more about your campaign, I'm sure you get a website. Where can they go and learn more about Latham Sadler?
Yes, sir. So please come join the mission at lathamsadler.com. I know it's a different name, so I'll spell it. It's LATHAMSADDLER.com. I mean, we've got folks that are coming on board all across the state. Everywhere we go, folks are showing up in crowds to come out and support us. And so we're going to be coming down y'all's way before the end of the year, so I hope to meet y'all as well. And I encourage people to follow us. And we'll come down there to Southeast Georgia and see you soon.
Sounds good. Maybe we can get you in the studio, but we do appreciate you reaching out to us. Always glad to have you. Wish you the best of luck in the campaign. We'll follow it closely. Again, it's almost a year away, but it's heating up for sure. So, again, appreciate you being here on the world-famous Butch and Bob Show.
Absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good one.
Okay, take care. We look forward to seeing when you come down this way. Latham Sadler here on Big Dog Country Radio, WIFO 105.5 FM in Jessup. Latham Sadler, is that correct there, Bob? Like the Sandman, Adam Sadler?
That's correct. I almost asked him that, but I didn't. I didn't want to go there.
You didn't want to go there.
I was like,
not on the air. We can talk about it after the air.
I was going to say, you're related to Adam, though.
Yeah, Adam, you're like the Sandman, Adam Sadler, but Latham, Latham, Latham Sadler.
All right. One of four Republicans right now. Like I said, it's Herschel, Gary Black, Sadler, and there's one other veteran. I can't recall his name right now, but there's four people in the race. So. They got the big rally this weekend in Perry, Georgia. It's going to be interesting to watch as Trump's come to Perry, Georgia to endorse Herschel and the other candidates he's endorsed in the statewide races. So big crowd expected Saturday up in Perry, Georgia at the fairgrounds.
Okay.
And tomorrow we got Pam Schumann in, candidate for city council. She's running in District 2 against incumbent Dawn Darden. And we're in contact with Tim Cockfield and Heather. May get both of those in there this week as well on the Butch and Bob Show. So,
all right, trying to get all these candidates on, both locally and statewide. We've had several of them so far on the world famous Butch and Bob Show. Look forward to getting all of them on as we count down to the election. The early voting will start in in November, about the second week in October. They're starting October, the second week in October. Early voting will begin with the election being held on the first Tuesday in November. Many important decisions to be made. Hopefully, folks will go ahead and get registered in time so they'll be able to vote.
Yeah. Monday, October 4th is the last day to register to vote if you want to be eligible to vote in these citywide elections. So keep that in mind. October 4th is the deadline. A lot of changes to where you're going to vote as well. Again, Election Day voting in the city of Jessup, District 1 and 2 has been moved from Bennett Union Church to Hall Richardson Recreation Center. Election Day voting for City of Scriven voters has been moved from Grace Community Center to the new Sam Dreyer Community Center. That's located on 219 Flory Street. So
they moved it over to the renovated in the new areas. Right. Renovated for Hall Richardson and the new building there in Scriven.
All right. So, and also, again, as you mentioned, early voting begins Tuesday, October 12th, runs through Friday, October 29th from 8 to 5. Advanced voting also will be held Saturday, October 16th, Saturday, October 23rd from 9 to 4 at the Cracker Williams Recreation Center at 245 East Bay Street. So, again, a lot going on. Elections underway. You can see the signs out throughout the city of Jessup. So.
Yeah, they're all over the place. You see signs here, there, yonder, and everywhere. You know, I was wondering if they were going to have the Pomple Farms this year with their amazing days and the wagon rides and the pumpkin patch and all that kind of stuff. But it does begin on October 2nd. It begins on October 2nd this year for Popple Farms. Of course, they shut it down last year because of COVID, but Popple Farms will start on October 2nd with their maize, pumpkin ride, and all that kind of good stuff.
So I wanted to add during the softball games, their softball sponsors got all that information on this.
So I was just double checking to make sure that they hadn't called it off at the last minute, and they still are.
They got it going on at Popple Farms. All that produce out there, go check it out.
Lots of produce out there. So Popple Farms will be in session, just in case folks didn't know that this year. And I assume that Odom Day is still going to be going. I hadn't heard any different from that. I hadn't heard from them, but I'm sure that Odom Day coming up the first Saturday in October, which will be October 2nd, will be going on.
Hadn't heard any different.
Hadn't heard any different. So as far as we know, Odom Day will continue on. And I haven't heard anything from the DDA yet about Archfest. Have you? I guess Archfest will still be going on the last toward the end of October. Hadn't heard either.
Hadn't heard about Archfest.
Okay, so we'll just assume, since we haven't heard any different, that all those activities will be going on. We have not received any type of thing. They're not going to be going on. So we look forward to Odom Day in Odom, the first Saturday in October. And then, of course, toward the end of October will be the Archfest. As it does seem like most activities are going on now. I mean, if you've got anywhere from 50 to 90,000 people packed into a football field, whether it's college or pro, then why can't you have these outdoor events? You know? I mean, people sitting on top of each other, yelling and screaming with particles going everywhere, and no one seems to be cared about it. So if you've got them inside these football fields, baseball fields, then what's a little festival? You know, with just a few hundred people, huh?
Tailgating's going on. Everything's going on.
Tailgate's going, everything. I mean, I was watching some of these games this weekend, and it's packed. I mean, they're everywhere. There's not a mass to be seen hardly, and people are yelling and screaming and having a good old time and supporting their team and having fun. And, you know, there didn't seem to be one worried about COVID anywhere, any spot, and any place.
Most of those stadiums were packed, too.
I know. They were rack stacked and packed, yeah.
There was an empty seat in Buffalo when I watched the Steelers at Buffalo. That place was packed.
Yeah.
Wow, too.
So people don't, they're not concerned about it. No, sir. You don't go around 50 to 90,000 other people and yelling and screaming like that and worried about COVID because, you just don't. If you're worried about COVID, you wouldn't be there. You wouldn't be there at all. Well, they had that game yesterday down in Jacksonville and wasn't close.
Packers didn't show up.
They just flat out didn't show up. Maybe
it was interesting. The press conferences, the coach Matt LaFleur called an embarrassing performance, and they asked Aaron Rodgers. He says, "Well, I don't know if I'd use that. I'd just say we lost and we didn't play well when we got 16 games left." So he wasn't going with him.
Yeah, I know you had that experienced quarterback on one side. Now, Jameson is experienced, but he just doesn't have the success of Aaron Rodgers. But his team, they just did good.
Yeah, threw 5 touchdowns, I think.
Yeah, he did good. He did good. They coached him up well. And see, he's had the chance to learn from Drew Brees. And, listening to Terry Bradshaw in the Fox NFL pregame show there, he was talking about when he came along, when you were a rookie quarterback like that, you expected about a 5-year development, And, Jameson did start off as a starter and that kind of stuff down in Tampa and all that kind of stuff like that. But he's been under the tutelage of Drew Brees for the last couple of years, and he's learned a lot. And he went out there with the coaching, and he did a lot better this year than he has. I've seen him ever play. And so maybe that's what some of these young quarterbacks need. Like Terry Bradshaw, when he came along, he was developed. Aaron Rodgers was developed under Brett Favre, But you're throwing these young guys right out of college into the fire, and they're not getting that tutelage as they used to.
Yeah, times have changed though; they're more developed, ready to go. Back when Bradshaw
none of them won, did they?
What's that?
Did any of the rookies win yesterday?
I'd have to go back and check.
Mac Jones didn't win. Trevor didn't win.
Mac Jones looked awfully good though.
Yeah, he's going to be. I know that watching the Fox NL pregame show, they feel that he's going to have the best success this year because of the supporting staff around him, and of course Bill Belichick.
I thought it was interesting on the Fox pregame show. They talked about how there was a home game for the Saints down there, and the reason they got to Jacksonville is New Orleans coach Sean Payton said it was more difficult for people from Wisconsin to get to Jacksonville than anywhere else, so that's why they chose
that one. They could have chosen any field. Well, let's see, the most difficult field for them to get to.
I don't think he did his homework, though, because I saw a lot of Packer fans.
You knew there was going to be a lot of cheeseheads there.
Yeah, I've been there before, yeah.
When Jacksonville's played Green Bay, there's been a lot of cheeseheads there.
Cheeseheads were there, but they were disappointed because, like I said, the Packers just didn't show. I mean, that was
well, they had all this
the Saints had a
chance.
You're right. Yeah, that's the thing. Was how, but Rodgers didn't look like Rodgers. I mean, Aaron Rodgers normally has 3 points.
Well, how much
Packers
practice did he get in with his team? And I don't know. This whole thing this summer.
Maybe his heart's just not.
I don't know.
He
didn't
look like Aaron Rodgers that we're all accustomed to. I know that. It was just a bad performance.
Well, this whole thing this summer with Aaron is just lowered my opinion of him some. And even some of the interviews that who's the other third who's the Peyton brothers, who's the broadcaster who does the funny stuff.
Cooper
was in Green Bay doing an interview, and that was kind of the consensus of the owner fans, because the fans in Green Bay is he's acting spoiled.
Bradshaw got on pretty bad, and his
Bradshaw just ripped
Bradshaw says just shut up and do your job.
Just shut up and do your job. It's not your job to go out there and tell them how to draft and stuff like that. Bradshaw got just do your job better. And Rodgers was so concerned about getting his feelings hurt. He ought to be thankful that they hired somebody to back him up. He should have looked at it like, well, Brett Favre trained me. Now I can train this guy.
He didn't want somebody, but he wanted a wide receiver. He wanted a running back. That draft year, they picked Jordan Love. everybody was shocked at that. They were like, all those receivers were sitting out there. Get Rodgers a weapon for Pete's sake.
Get Rodgers a weapon. And that's the thing that he has been upset with. You could tell from his interview was the fact that the people they have let go, that he didn't want them to let go because he worked well with them and they had a lot of talent, and the people they didn't draft. So that's what he was upset with. Is please, give me some input. I guess if they were picking good players and keeping good players, he wouldn't have been so upset.
I wouldn't panic. Like you said, you got 16 games left.
A lot of games left.
Just had a bad game. It was a bad game though. It
was a bad game.
They only scored 3 points. I was amazed. I thought the Packers would win the game, but they didn't show up. So a lot of good games though. Falcons didn't show up. They looked awful.
They looked terrible. Jaguars,
just terrible. Pretty much what I expected. Trevor Lawrence growing pains, but he did throw 3 touchdowns along with 3 interceptions. But like I said, he's going to be definitely a good quarterback. They got definitely the guy they want behind center for the future. Like I said, Troy Aikman and the Cowboys went 1 15 his first year. So
we got Troy Aikman. That's what Jimmy Johnson was talking about. Their first year, they went 1-11 with Troy Aikman and all that. And
they'll be fine.
Be fine. It's like Terry Bradshaw says, the reason why a quarterback's picked number one is because you're going on a team that's not very good.
Which you
and it takes a while to turn things around.
What Jaguar fans got to worry about is how long Urban Meyer's going to hang around. See, because when things go wrong, he bails. That's his. Trevor Lawrence ain't going nowhere. He'll be there. But the question is, how long will Urban Meyer stay?
I don't know. We'll see.
They don't call him Urban Crier for nothing.
I thought things were going well at Ohio State when he left.
No.
I thought he'd been winning left, right, forwards, and backwards. No. Okay. Well, what about Ohio State? They lost.
Made my day. That was fun. Did you see somebody lift a little rubber ducky?
I love that rubber ducky. That was fun. God, that little rubber ducky sitting there on the midfield. That was funny. That was more powerful than that flag that the team had left the year before on midfield.
You had to really look. It was hard to see.
Yeah, I know. They left that little rubber ducky. That cracked everybody up.
That made my day.
That cracked everybody up. Yeah, and I love the fact, you have the Fox NFL pregame show with Terry Bradshaw, Howie Long of the gang, Jimmy Johnson, and that's on Fox, on Fox TV. But we also have, our AM station is Fox Sports. I mean, what you see on television, a lot of it's on our radio station, and we have between 12 and 1 on Fox Sports Radio, 1370 AM, we have that show with Terry Bradshaw. We have the audio of it. So if you tune in to AM 1370 The Buzz on Sundays between 12 and 1, you get to hear the audio of the NFL Sunday program on Fox. Here on our AM station, AM 1370.
And all those guys are in the Hall of Fame. That's the first
Every
show,
one of them.
Right? So, pretty good show. But Bradshaw was funny yesterday.
Yes, he was.
He's always funny, though. But he was pretty. I was shocked when he said that about Aaron Rodgers. Just be quiet and do your job.
Yeah, he was. I disagree with Jimmy over there. He said we're both intellectually compatible. He said, Terry just said, do your job. Don't worry about the front office. Let them do their job. You do your job.
It's good to see Jimmy Johnson back in studio. Like I said last year, he was always on location. But,
he was down at his place in Key West. Right. He's got a restaurant down there and a home down there. So he was down in Key West doing all his reports last year because of COVID. And now he's back in the studio doing everything as regular.
He needs to work on his dancing, though. Michael Strahan was doing his dance.
Oh, Michael Strahan had the moves.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson's like, it'd be like you and me. Yeah, no rhythm at all, But I like the fact that they just have a good time out there and rib each other and have fun. Yeah, it's more than just, dry X's and O facts. It's lots of fun. All right, Bob, anything else? Anything going on today?
Good to see Step Bennett have a good game in Athens.
Yes,
5
it was.
touchdowns.
Man, he was
fun
hot.
To watch. Got the start. Everybody said all weekend that Carson Beck was going to get the start, but Kirby went with Stetson, and Stetson put on a nice show through 5 touchdowns. So nice to see the offense score some points. So, but UAB wasn't very good.
Yeah, well, we were playing UAB, but still, it was good to see Stetson play.
Yeah, nice
local
day for
kid
him.
down here.
Right. Good to see that.
All right, Bob. You have a good day. Or the world-famous Butch and Bob Show here on Big Dog Country Radio, WIFO, 105.5 FM in Jessup, is being brought to you by First Southern Bank, Murphy Builder Supply, Damon's Famous Fingers and Wings, and by Country Financial, Sean O'Quinn and Associates.